Welcome to the Golfish Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Goodman. Every week on the show, we're going to bring you fascinating interviews with the families, caddies, and coaches of the PGA, LPGA Champions Tour, and beyond. This week, we have Dave and Elyssa Nastalski of Dirty Larry Golf, Dogwood Country Club, and Porton Oak. This amazing couple lives in Raleigh and is taking the golf world by storm through their companies, personalities, and love of the game. This week you'll hear about a surprise wedding gift that turned into a chance to meet one of golf's biggest icons, the story of Dirty Larry, and when they knew their e-commerce business was going to make it. If you've ever wanted to know what it takes to get a business off the ground in an industry like golf, then this is the episode for you. Well, hi, Dave and Elyssa. Thank you so much for jumping on here today. Welcome to the Golfish Podcast.
Good morning. It is so nice to connect with you.
I am thrilled to get to know you both a little bit more. I know we've had a couple of conversations, but just based on some things that I've been learning about you from Instagram and, Google, I'm super excited to just learn how you guys have dived into the golf industry. So tell me a little bit about yourself so that our audience can get to know you better as well.
Yeah, I kind of tugged Elyssa in with me a few years ago. I'm a PGA professional in Raleigh and graduated from NC State's golf management program. And we were starting this little e-commerce business, Dirty Larry Golf, that needed a whole ton of help. And Elyssa had kind of this communications background. She had no real ties or connection to golf before that. And she decided to kind of get all of our social pages running. And from there, it just started spiraling. We needed more and more help. And we kind of brought everything together as a team back in 2000, was that 14 or 15?
No, I think it was earlier than that. We've been doing this for a while. 2000.
Well, yeah, the company started in 2013, but I think you came on full time, 2016 maybe?
You were 15, I was 16. Yeah. Took the leap.
That's awesome. So, so you guys started with Dirty Larry Golf in 2013. Dave, how did you get into golf in general? I mean, a golf management degree from North Carolina State is pretty specific.
Yeah, sure. So I kind of went the route, it kind of did things backwards a little bit. I went to school and I had the intention of playing golf. And I went down to College of Charleston in South Carolina and wanted to play D1. It didn't end up working out. So I got a little discouraged. Went back to Baltimore, which is where I was from, and just worked in a totally different industry, several different industries for years, and found I kind of was just consistently drawn back to the game. So I started applying to different golf management schools. I wanted to find out how to have a career in golf, as we kind of pivoted through some of the difficulties in the restaurant business, so to speak. And I got into NC State, fell in love with the campus, and ended up starting down there in 2009, I think it was.
That's awesome. So, Elyssa, I noticed you went there too. Did y'all meet at North Carolina State?
We did. We met through mutual friends at a party. We actually had a weird
that's awesome
story.
My husband and I are the same way.
We met initially when he first came to state. And I distinctly remember him because I thought I was really interested in him. And then I think like a year or two went by. I never saw him again other than that very first night when we talked to each other at the party. And then I wound up having almost the exact same conversation. And that's when it clicked. But I was like, wait a minute, I remember you from like a year or two ago.
Right.
And then we kind of stuck around each other after that.
You stuck around. That's so cute.
We chose to be near each other.
Right. Well, and I want to go to that too, because Dave, you wrote the sweetest open letter to Elyssa on your website.
Oh, gosh.
Wow, you saw that thing, huh?
You have been Googling.
So that's actually, it was reposted this year.
Really?
From what I found, it was because I was like, wait a second, did they just get married 60 days ago? And then I was like, oh no, wait, this is from 2015, but it was reposted in 2019. So I was looking at that, and that is just, I mean, it's adorable. Everyone should go on their Instagram and look at their wedding pictures. They're beautiful. But Dave, tell me how that kind of came about, and how you kind of got Elyssa to the point where she was not really connected to golf at all, to where your biggest surprise, I'll let you tell what the biggest surprise was, but your big surprise pre-wedding was going to be to her.
Yeah, so I don't really know. We kind of just needed her, and we were in this, like, these startup stages with this business, wearing every single hat. I was kind of doing most everything myself, and she just started doing more and more and more, and just growing super passionate about golf. And from there, it started kind of like snowballing, and we were handling the whole marketing efforts then, and she started learning to kind of play the game a little bit, and it was such a fun time as we were kind of getting to know each other as well. Working with your spouse can be a little bit crazy at times, but we made it work. It's been a ton of fun, and I seriously wouldn't change it for the world. One of the things I wanted to do, which you're referring to the letter I wrote, I really wanted to give her something she could never really get herself. And it was like such a long shot. I had this crazy idea, and I reached out to some people, and what you're kind of referring to there in that letter, we kind of exchanged wedding gifts, and there's several posts about the actual the experience that you'll have to check out if you haven't already. But I got her Sunday tickets to the Masters, and it was right when she was just super enthused about the game, and she'd never been. Obviously, it's Augusta National is just an incredible place, and if you're lucky enough to be there, or have seen it, and I got her Sunday tickets as a early wedding gift. That was April of the year before. I guess it was, we were getting married that May. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That next May. So we went in April, and when we got there, it was my wedding gift to her. And I'll kind of let her tell the rest of that story, because it just, again, it kept snowballing. It's pretty a common theme in our lives, with things just piling and tacking on to one another. So it's a very cool story.
That's awesome. So this was the 2015 Masters, is that right?
2015, yep. So that was Jordan Spieth's
Jordan
year,
Spieth
right?
one. Yeah.
Big Spieth year.
That was, I talked so much trash that year to so many people, and they were like, Jordan is not going to win. You need to let this go. And we were super fortunate. We had Sunday tickets as well, so we probably ran into each other. I mean, because there's so few people that go there, right? But
right.
We were walking around, and I was with my husband and one of our best friends, and I was like, when he wins, we have to stay for the green jacket. And they're like, we're getting on the road, because we live in Cincinnati. Everyone was like, we're just going to leave and make it as far as we can. And I was like, no, seriously, when Jordan wins, we're staying. So we're watching from like 16, and I'm like, you guys, he's going to win. And they're like, Amy, let it go. And I'm like, no, I mean, I had told everybody Jordan's going to win. And we get to 18, and it's just packed with people. Like, you can't see anything, right? So I go over, and I turn around, and I'm like, oh, the putting practice green is like where they're going to do the green jacket. So I just go over and stand over there. I'm like, when he wins, he's going to come right here. And they're like, okay. And he won, and we were within 15 feet of him when he was in the outdoor ceremony. It was just like, it was the coolest thing. And yeah, I'm a huge Jordan fan, but it is, you're right. It is just such an experience. I mean, it really does feel like hallowed ground when you're there.
Yeah, it sure was. I couldn't have ever imagined it getting any better than, what we had. It was my first experience at the Masters there. So, I mean, now I can kind of go every year as a PGA professional, but, when she kind of surprised me with her wedding gift, I really just all time stopped. It was pretty incredible.
That's awesome. So Elyssa, what was your wedding gift?
So he had actually given me that open letter at a bar one night after, I think I was still in classes. I went back to school after I graduated once, and I finished classes, and he took me out to the bar for a drink, and then he handed that to me on his phone. I'm bawling my eyes out.
Oh my gosh.
At like NC State's dive bar. But so then I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You can't give me Masters Sunday tickets, which he didn't mention either. It was actually Berkman's place that he managed to pull together, which is a like super exclusive area,
right.
Which we could dive into a whole ton on that end. But I'm like, I cannot give this guy a watch now when he gave me Masters Sunday at Berkman's place. So my initial plan, actually, we were doing our honeymoon in Belize, and I was like, how cool would it be? I bet the golf courses there are insane, right? Like if there's a golf course, it's got to be the best. And there was at one point an island golf course that you had to take a helicopter to get to.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
like, this is perfect. Like you cannot beat this. And so I was doing all this digging. I'm like checking in with all these people. It turns out it had just closed not that long before, like maybe a year or two before we were going.
Oh,
and I'm like, there goes that. So then I'm really thinking, like, what can I give him that's really meaningful? And ever since you first started loving golf, right, he's been the hugest fan of Jack Nicklaus. And I'm like, I don't know how I can pull this together, but by God, I'm going to try, right? So I just started reaching out, and I love this story. It makes me love Jack Nicklaus so much more. It just really speaks to the people around him and their heart and their care for people, no matter what level they're at. So I wrote into them and I just said, here's the deal. He gave me this amazing gift. I can't imagine giving him something really boring like a watch. Like I know the chances are probably so slim, but if anyone can help me, it would be amazing. And some time went by, and then all of a sudden I heard back, and they were like, hey, I think we could work this out. Just stick with us.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I had told them we were going to be there Master Sunday, and we had that, the Berkman's place. I didn't know if they hung around there or what their whole deal was at all. And so they set up for us to actually go up under the tree by the clubhouse and meet him, meet Jack wearing his green jacket. And then they actually went above and beyond too. And they told me probably last minute that they were pretty sure they could get a Golf Digest photographer to come in and get pictures of the whole experience too. So, and they played a whole game. They set it up where they snuck up and tapped Dave on the shoulder and pretended he was in trouble. And they said, you need to come with me. And then from there, Jack was waiting for him under the tree.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. Dave, what did your heart just sink? I mean, what are you feeling?
I don't remember talking at all, all time froze. And I looked at Elyssa afterwards. Jack he's a sweetheart. He really is. And we sat there and chatted with him for probably 20, 25 minutes. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I don't remember a whole lot about the conversation. I was so struck. But I do remember one thing that really stuck out to me about him is through all of his fame and success and everything, I remember feeling like I was talking to an old friend, and the way that he made us feel, it wasn't a chore for him to be doing it, that he actually kind of enjoyed us and speaking with us. That was, I think, the biggest takeaway for me.
That is so awesome. Seriously, what a magical experience that would have been.
Yeah, sure was.
Well, it's funny. So
did you just give up on giving gifts after that? Is it just all right, we're done?
Yeah, nothing's come close.
Right. I would have tapped out well, babe, this is it.
Yeah, I think we're good for the next 50 years.
Right. That is so funny. Sorry, Elyssa, what were you going to say?
Gosh, now I lost it. I don't know what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
So Dave, I know you had said you were in a lot of different industries, obviously like before you came to NC State, but I noticed you had gained experience at Caves Valley, Upper Montclair, Medina. You learned under Scott Hamilton. Was that all post NC State, or were you doing that stuff as like I'm going to try this, and then you decided to go to NC State for school?
Yeah, no, it was during. It was basically an internship time.
That's awesome.
For most of those spots there. Medina was my last one before I graduated, so I was an assistant pro in the sense up there, and saw that for a season. And that place was just a factory, and in a good way. I mean, it's kind of like a private resort, as we lovingly called it. I spent a lot of time up there and kind of figuring out where my passion was. And that was still all during NC State. So
okay.
Through those internships, you kind of figure out, where do you see yourself in the industry? What do you want to pursue? Where is your passion? And I found one in spending some time with the director of instruction up there and having him change people's golf games, and help them enjoy golf that much more. It was very cool. So, on all my off days and when I got off work and earlier in the morning, I'd go and I'd observe and I'd watch him teach. And, I took notes. I have legal pads upon legal pads of notes of just early instruction theories and things that he used to do. And I just found it so interesting. And that's when I kind of pivoted and said, I don't want to really be a golf pro in the sense that I'm in the shop and I'm merchandising and all of that. I really want to teach. So I spent some time teaching after college. I graduated. I worked for Golf Tech for several years, had a great little career, so to speak, with them. And all that time, Dirty Larry Golf was just getting its wings, really just starting to show a little bit of need, I guess is the best word. They were showing a lot
of need.
Yeah.
So a couple years into my teaching career, I made the decision to quit my job. It kind of happened very quickly. Elyssa will share that story with you, I'm sure, another time. But I kind of knew it in my gut and just pulled the trigger, quit my job really without a plan, and just gave it a shot. And I'm thankful that I did.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about how, I know we talked a little bit about the timing and everything and how Elyssa got involved in Dirty Larry Golf, but what inspired you to create it? How did you know there was the need? And then I'd love for you guys to tell the story that is on your website about it too, which I think is hilarious. But just kind of how it all came to fruition.
Yeah, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So the product itself really was created by Larry. It's not a made-up name. There's a person who goes by the name Dirty Larry. And he was the starter at the NC State University course, Lonnie Pool Golf Course. Actually, Dave, probably your first friend at NC State, right?
Yeah.
I think Dave got here and went straight to the course, and that was the first person he was friends with.
Yeah. I found the tallest, whitest haired guy on the driving range and challenged him to a skins match, and he took all my money.
Oh, that is awesome.
But that was kind of the standard around there. Was Larry loved to hang out with all of the kids coming through and get out and play with them. And he's a very cool guy. He's very easy to be around. You can't really say anything that shocks him. He loves to be hip and in with the in crowd. So he hung out with them all the time, but he was like a real contender against them. He was a real competitor. And he knew that it was because of his putting, right? He's not out driving these young guys coming in, starting off school at 18, 19, whatever it is. So we'll start with the nickname. So as people kept playing with him over time, there was one day where they got back to the shop and one of the guys made a sign. He hung it up in the pro shop that said, "Don't play with Larry. He's dirty and he'll take all of your money." And then from there, the nickname stuck. So everyone just referred to him as Dirty Larry. And then when he, kept thinking about why he was able to hang with the guys, he's like, I know exactly what I see that they don't see. I know why I'm so good with my putter. And I wish that I could convey this to people. So he had the idea for the product, which is the Navigator. After a lot of work, we got to the name the Navigator, but he had that idea. And he approached Dave about it. They were great friends. And he's like, I would love your help getting this going. Obviously, you know a lot about the golf world, and obviously you know a lot about, technology and how to get this to the market and all that kind of stuff. So I just want you to come on with me. And that's kind of how the whole thing got going.
I mean, it's an incredible opportunity as a college student to have just like you said, Dave, gone up to the tallest guy with the widest hair and said, like, let's play, and to see all of the different changes that have happened since 2013. And we'll go into some of the other things that y'all have started, because I think it's so fascinating. But to really see, like, as the start of getting into the golf industry on the vendor side.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's kind of backwards. A lot of kind of pros, they kind of build their teaching book and build their teaching career and build their name, and then they launch products that they believe in and they feel, would help their students and others. And we kind of did it backwards. Like, we launched a product and we've had some success with it. We've got probably 50 or so tour players using it. And, tour coaches like Scott Hamilton, who we met in Cartersville, Georgia, and he didn't even have the Navigator out of the box. And he was like, this thing is awesome. I'm going to show it to all my tour guys and gals, and I'm on board. And
that's
those
huge.
Types of things, that was such a huge help to us as we got going. It added credibility to the product, and we're so fortunate to have met him, man. He's been an incredible person to us. I certainly can't ever thank him enough for what he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was, so for those of our listeners that have listened all the way through, he was the second episode, and he is just such a wonderful, genuine human being. And he wants to make, in my opinion, and it sounds like from you guys too, he wants to make everyone around him as successful as they can be with whatever he can do to help.
Oh, absolutely. You could not get me to say a bad word about him. I actually, we spent a good bit of time with him there, and I was just sometimes, like, he'll get, I don't know, free stuff from people, and he's like, I don't need this, and he'll just hand it off to whoever he thinks needs it more. Like, he's just so giving. He always wants everyone around him to do well and be happy and thrive. And I think that's part of what makes him so great at what he does too.
Yeah. And, he is hyper critical of different, like, training aids that are out there, right? Like, he is, I mean, he, like, rips a lot of them apart in a good way to say, like, you don't really need this. Like, I mean, he calls it junk, which is fine. I mean, I think everyone has kind of their own thing, but I agree with you all that once he kind of puts his stamp on something, it just kind of goes.
Yeah, he actually told us that too. I mean, the whole way we met him was funny, and you're absolutely correct. He is so genuine. He does not put on a show for anyone or anything. And we had the meeting set with him through somebody else, and we got there and he had no recollection that he had set this up, and he didn't even, like, some people would be like, oh yeah, like, someone help me figure out what's happening. He did not. He was like, who are you? What?
Yeah.
But yeah, he said to us then, he looked at, we explained who we were. He's like, I don't remember this, but that's fine. Show me what you have. And then as soon as we open up the box, he's like, I love that. I'm totally in. And he said then, I do not endorse a bunch of stuff. I am not that guy that's just going to go sell my soul to get a check. In fact, I will even say that about him. He was never really after some big check from us or anything either. He wants to help. He's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, just the story of that. It was so funny. We got to Cartersville, and, like, I'm suited up. Alyssa's got her
I was
heels
so nervous.
on, like, she's got her nice dress on and stuff. And we get to Cartersville and, like, pull the cobwebs aside on the golf carts at this, like, little podunk club.
Yeah, I remember we're going to see this tour coach, and we like drive. I think when you drive into Cartersville, you drive past maybe like some mobile homes or something like that. And we're like, what is this country club? Where are we going right now? And like, same deal. We get to the pro shop. We're like, we're here to see Scott. And they're like, oh, I don't know anything about, but that's fine. Like, go grab a cart. So we hop in the cart and there are spider webs across it. I'm like, where are we?
You're like, did we just get punked? Like, what's happening?
Like some highfalutin tour coach who, he works with more tour players out there than anybody.
Right.
And, we get down there and we're kind of all dressed up and stuff. And he's sitting in this director's chair. He's got no shoes on, dip in his mouth. And he's like, who the heck are you guys? It was so funny.
But it's such the spirit of him and Cartersville. Like, saying that just offhand, people are probably going, what are you talking about? What is this country club? But I think that's why people love him and they love Cartersville. It's a great place. It really is. But nobody's trying to put on a big show. Mm-hmm. It's very relaxed, and they put the effort where it really matters at Cartersville and Scott, right? They have their focuses and they're great at it.
Yeah, he's a great fit. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So you guys had mentioned that over 50 players use the product on the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour. So Matt Kuchar, Bo Hostler, Matt Every, Jerry Haas, Hee Young Park. Like, talk about what that's like. What is it like to walk onto a course or be even watching it on TV and be like, oh, that's our product. Like, we did that.
Yeah. It was, those are things that, like, a lot of people, when you start a business, they have this idea that entrepreneurship is so glam and you can kind of make your own schedule and, it's just such a easy ride and stuff. It's like you have so many grinding, sleepless nights, and you're not getting paid. You're trying to make ends meet. You're like selling your stuff. Like, Elyssa sold her car to pay her bills, which was like, we're sitting here reflecting on it now, and we laughed. We said, like, I don't know why we believed the way we believed, but we're so glad that we did. And to see a tour pro pick it up, or even better, having one of their caddies just order it online and say nothing.
Sometimes that's my favorite. The number of times, there are actually guys that we don't tell you have it, that we know have it, just because I won't be disrespectful and throw their name out there unless they were either seen with it somewhere or they told me it's fine. Yeah. I never want to be a slimy company. That's not who we are, just not into it. So there are tons more people that have it than anybody even knows. We actually have a green jacket winner who has it that we've never said a word about. But
that's incredible.
Like, sometimes you'll go, and we're still a small company, so we are very aware of everything that happens. You'll go to look at the shipments for the day or something, and there's some tour player's name. And they just quietly go ahead and send it in. I mean, you'll look at where the location is, if it's going to Jupiter, Florida, or wherever, you're like, that's who it is. There's no question.
Yeah, it's so cool. I can't really put words to it. It makes it all worth it. Just those little moments of success that keep us going and keep us enthused. When somebody like that is trusting us to help their game, which is their livelihood, it's an incredible thing.
How did you know that it was going to make it? Like, when was that turning point where you were like, okay, selling the car, scraping by, it was all worth it, and all of a sudden you're in like Golf Digest and Golf Works and Scott is endorsing it? Like, when did that kind of turn where you were like, it was kind of like a sigh of relief, and then it was like, get ready because this is going to really go far now that we've like kind of made it over that peak?
I'll tell a funny story. I'll try and keep it brief, but it could go on for hours.
Take your time.
Yeah. So I was driving home from work one night and saw a Facebook post. Naturally, reading while driving is terrible. And
we do not endorse that on the Golfish podcast.
And I saw a post from Michael Collins, who I'm sure you're familiar with, from months and months back. it was like around the Thanksgiving time. It was late at night, 9 something, maybe 10 o'clock. Normal night, right? Coming home from work. Alyssa's like cooking dinner, trying to get it all together. And I get home and she was making fajitas. And like fajitas require a ton of prep.
I didn't remember there was fajitas. That's hilarious. Okay, go ahead.
All part of the story. And so like naturally I would help her. And she was getting frustrated because it was late. And I was like on my phone, like sending an email off. And she's like, "What are you doing? Like, I need your help. Like, we haven't eaten. It's like 10 o'clock. And, you know, this is the time when we're like grinding, right? So we're short tempered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I just got to send this email. Like, you just got to trust me. And she like, whatever. She makes her fajitas.
The post was from like at least 2 weeks prior, though.
I know.
He told me this when he started doing it. I'm like, this is so far gone. He asked for people to write in 2 weeks ago. Forget it. Can you please help me? Like, this is nuts.
Yeah. And I was like, listen, like, we got to do this. And she like took her plate upstairs, like stormed away, and she ate alone, right?
Oh,
and
goodness.
I fire this email off, and I'm like, well, you know, shit, I hope it's worth it. You know, she's mad at me, but I got the email.
But this might go big.
Yeah, right? So anyway, like I like tail between my legs, like I come upstairs with my plate.
And we all agreed in the end. Like, he's like, I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
I just like thought that maybe it could do something.
Yeah, and then like 20 minutes into dinner, my phone rings. And it's from Winter Park, Florida, or Winter Gardens or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I ignore it.
I picked it up and I was like, your phone's ringing.
Yeah.
And he said, let it go. I'm sorry. Let's just focus. Let's have this meal together. And I'm like, what if it's Michael Collins? And he's like, it's not Michael Collins, Elyssa. I'm sorry. Just please put the phone down. And while the phone's in my hand, this text pops up and it's like, hey, this is Michael Collins from that number. And I'm like, what? David, it is Michael Collins. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills just listening to that. I can't even imagine.
So cool. And I was like, listen, if it's Michael Collins, he'll leave a voicemail. And sure enough, I don't think he left a voicemail, but he sent a text and he was like, you are the last product before a deadline to submit. I love the Navigator. Give me a shout back. What? And like I called him immediately and we hit it. I mean, you know Michael Collins. He's
so
such
cool.
A little, you know, sports junkie. And
yeah.
we started talking football and golf, and we sent him a bunch of product. He loved the lime green one that we used to have because he's a Eagles fan or whatever. And he wrote us up in the ESPN holiday gift guide, best gifts for a golfer.
What?
And at that moment, I think that we were kind of on our way.
When that went live, we opened up the computer. It was literally just Dave and I filling shipments out of our spare bedroom at that point. And we opened up the computer the next morning and had more orders than we had ever seen in our life. I took off work. Dave took off work. Even with both of us being there, we were so overwhelmed trying to get each package ready because we had never seen volume like that before.
Right.
And then, I mean, it was chaos, absolute chaos. And that was definitely, I wondered if you were going to reference that. That was, for me, the major breaking point where I was like, whoa, we actually have something. Like, you grind it out and you never know other than what you believe, but like, we really have something.
So was it, I mean, did you sell out? Did you even have enough product to ship everything?
Yeah, no, we shipped all. I think we were pulling drawers out, like looking for spare parts. And like, do you remember that? We had like stuff like tucked under heads and things.
I'm very resourceful. I was like, I swear, I know that there's like this piece somewhere. I swear I saw one. Go look in the back of your car. And like,
oh, it's such a riot. And, Michael Collins, we've run into him, pretty much every year at the Masters. Every time he's in the pro shop, he's buying like 150 hats.
Yeah.
We can always spot him, right?
That is so incredible. Oh my goodness. So, we've talked about how you guys got here and everything and the turning point. So tell us about the actual tool. So what does it do? How does it help? And how are people, I mean, especially pros, because someone like me, I love golf. I am not very good at it. So I could probably see some pretty significant impact in my game only because I'm not very good. But how does a pro take that and make some movements because of your tool and shift and then go on? There was one article, and I'm blanking on who it was, but he gave credit to the Navigator tool for his win. It was in January. Oh shoot, I will have to find it. But he had said like he had switched how he was putting because of your tool, and that's what he credited for his win. So how does it all work?
Yeah, so it's as simple as it is. It's a face alignment tool. So it helps you square the putter and learn what square looks like. So there's an alignment rod that extends outwards from the face. There's no lasers, there's no batteries. And putting, the start line is comprised mostly of the face and not the path. It's like 92 to 95% where the face is aiming, that's where the ball is going to start. So, you've got speed to deal with, but you've got line as well. They're the two components of putting. So most of the tour pros that use the product, they use it for confidence building and eliminating excess motion. So like tightening the putting stroke. If you listen to a tour putting coach, a lot of times they're looking to tighten up the amount of rotations, the amount of lifting forward and back off the ground, that kind of thing.
I hope you enjoyed hearing from Dave and Elyssa about their love for each other and what it takes to bring a product to life through their first company, Dirty Larry Golf. Next week, learn more about these serial entrepreneurs as they introduce you to their lifestyle brand, Port and Oak, and their newest venture that turns one this year, Dogwood Country Club. See you next week.